Is it over? Nothing is over until we say it is. We say it is. Anyway, do you want to join me, or are you just going to sit here and...
I'm going to quote it. Let's get it right. Nothing is over until we decide it is.
That's Jeff the Suit here.
Right.
Why is he in here watching me? I don't know, folks, but what I say is true about this. We are always under observation. You could consider him the Robert Mueller of the Broadcast Center, and I would be the President Trump, always under investigation.
Where's that smoking gun?
All that, always under scrutiny, and I am concerned, as we all should be, about our beloved president. Let's go to Scott in Caldwell, who joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, sir. Hey, speaking of a smoking gun and media outrage, do you remember in the 90s when Clinton and Gore handed over the Blackbird SR-71 to the Chinese?
The SR-71?
Yeah, they handed over the technology. They handed over all the schematics, all the cutaways for the engines, the whole works. Do you remember that?
I remember they did the missile technology, but I didn't know it was the SR-71.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting an SR-71 pilot in Cuna, of all places, an amazing retired SR-71 pilot. And I wanted to know if it was true or if it was just something burning through the conservative rumor mill. And I asked him, I said, and he's obviously retired, but I said, how did you feel when Clinton and Gore handed that technology over to the Chinese? He said, it broke my heart. It broke my heart, and I'll tell you why. Because he said, I lost friends who developed that technology. And it's like, okay, really? So Clinton and Gore can give away technology that men gave their lives for back in the 90s. But that wasn't a smoking gun. That didn't deserve the kind of media rage that we see now towards Trump over what? I looked this guy right in the eyes, and he was wearing his, he had the full bird colonel hat on, and he had the leather jacket with the decals. This was a sharp guy. He said, yeah, it broke my heart. So,
to this day, they've never made a plane like the SR-71 Blackbird. The fastest plane ever. When they filled it up, the fuel would actually be draining because it was so hot that it would expand. It had to get up to a certain speed. I've studied that plane for years, and you're right. You take a look at what Clinton did, what he gave to the Chinese. That's why all of a sudden the Chinese went from the Stone Age to the modern age, and nothing is done about it. And yet you have people like Adam Schiff and others going after President Trump. It's almost like when Sean Hannity says, Scott, journalism is dead. To me, sometimes I feel that truth is dead.
Well, thank God for people like you for keeping this kind of stuff alive and well, because a lot of people, they just don't know. But yeah, it was because of Clinton and Gore that the Chinese were able to springboard ahead with their aerospace technology.
You are correct.
And yeah. Hey, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And, boy, if anybody knows that retired SR-71 pilot that lives in Cuna, we'd love to get him on. Google that, by the way. It's still a plane that has never been equaled, never been duplicated. Skims at the difference between the sky and space and such. The idea that went unpunished. To me, it's like this. If you like Donald Trump, the charges are bogus. If you don't like Donald Trump, then you believe that he should be impeached. You believe that he should be arrested. And one thing that I've learned, and I strive to learn, is the example of restraint, is the example of not being emotional. And I learned that from my dad, Larry Miller. And it was always about de-escalating a situation. And we've turned the entire political process into the World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment. Because there is no responsible person, whether it's Jerry Nadler, the head of the lib whatever, and Adam Schiff going on these shows, just ginning it up. There is no compromise with these folks. They seek to undo the election, and that's exactly what they've said. Look, if you're just tuning in, you'll be hearing this comment that Adam Schiff made yesterday on CBS's Face the Nation.
On the day Donald Trump leaves office, the Justice Department may indict him, that he may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
Right. For what? Well, because of these allegations. They're allegations. Where is the presumption of innocence? And by the way, you have on CNN a former U.S. Attorney General saying this.
It's completely antithetical to what his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, believes. Rudy Giuliani believes that he has not committed any campaign finance law, and as evidence, he presents the John Edwards case. Here's what he says. The president is not implicated in campaign finance violations because based on the John Edwards case and others, the payments are not campaign contributions. No responsible prosecutor would premise a criminal case on a questionable interpretation of the law. John Edwards was found not guilty of those, trying to make payments, hush money payments, or payments to a woman with whom he'd fathered a child.
Yeah, I think in my sleep, I could, deal with that were I a lawyer for the prosecutor, and Mueller's certainly got lawyers far better than me on his team.
But why? Where does it fall
apart? There's lots of problems with that defense. Yeah, so one is the difference with Edwards. Edwards' whole defense was, look, I didn't know anything about the payments. I had nothing to do with the payments, the like. Here you've got Michael Cohen and other evidence the prosecutors haven't brought forth yet saying Trump directed the commission of these payments. So that's number one. Number two, the timing of the payments is totally different. Here, Trump had these two affairs in 2006, paid off these women in 2016, moments before the election, making these really, this isn't just some ordinary campaign contribution or something like that. These are potentially the most significant campaign contributions ever in the history of the United States. These payoffs very well may have swung the entire election. That's very different than payments made over a period of years, as it was in Edwards, to...
Now, wait a minute. Let's go back to John Edwards in 2004. John Edwards' whole appeal was the fact that he and Elizabeth Edwards loved each other. They had a child. They were a loving family. You're telling me that Donald Trump, never known as a moralist, that these were more significant. And by the way, John Edwards used contributions without telling people. And if you go back to the book The Politician, yes, Edwards knew about it. He's a lawyer, a brilliant trial lawyer. Of course he knew about it. And yet here we have this guy with a straight face saying that these cover-ups were more significant than anything else. Folks, when you think of this, and look, if you're a DLL, a devious little liberal, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, we'd love to hear from you. If not, I'll just share my thoughts with you. We are, I don't know where we should go with this. Earlier in today, if you missed our interview with Robert Spencer, he's the author of one of the many books from, Muhammad to ISIS, the history of the jihad in America, Jihad Watch. Facebook will not let him get on Facebook. If you post a picture of him, they will zap it. And yet Facebook and other social media outlets still used for recruiting tools to recruit kids and everyone else, radicals. They don't zap those folks, which I don't understand why. We move on to the media. And we have this great First Amendment, unless you're a conservative. The media has to be the biggest threat to our republic, perhaps, that we've ever seen. And it hurts me to say this to you. When we have the media advocating for impeachment, why? Did Donald Trump do something wrong? No, but it will get more clicks and more likes and people listening in. That's what this will all be about. Right? So the media is not playing fair here with the President of the United States. And you have the Democrats jumping in. How in the world can you negotiate with anyone when all they're talking about is an investigation from the special prosecutor that has gone nowhere, with no smoking gun, by a guy that is so non-trusted, Michael Cohen, that they actually want him to do additional prison time? So where is the substantiation of the evidence? I don't see it. And quite frankly, impeachment is not good for this country. Now, you want to take it to a next level that you won't hear anywhere else in the Treasure Valley. Let's go back to Obama. I've been around since Clinton. I've been around since President Bush doing talk radio. You go back to the Clinton impeachment, he perjured himself. He should have been removed from office. He perjured himself. Where is that with Donald Trump? Barack Obama had the NSA, the IRS, prosecute people for their political beliefs. Where was the special prosecutor there? Let's go to Paul in Nampa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Paul.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. You know, we're talking about the truth, and the truth has become more relative than ever before. The truth is whatever they want it to be, not the truth. So you have to, you know, we're talking about taking everything with a grain of salt. We got to start using a salt lick like the cows use in the fields. And that's it. It's, you know, they're not going to tell the truth. They're going to tell the truth the way they want it to go in order to match the narrative. And that's it. No one can, the media doesn't care about the truth anymore.
Well, they apparently they care about their own truth. Now, when you hear, you know, a congressman from California get on there and just, you know, run off at the mouth, as we used to say as kids, I don't understand it, Paul. Let me just play this for you.
On the day Donald Trump leaves office, the Justice Department may indict him, that he may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
That's not very responsible, is it?
Well, it depends on what you want to have happen. The words in there are important. The word that's important in there is may. He doesn't know. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in 2 years. The truth is what everybody wants it to be before they see what the truth is. We don't know what Mueller's got. We haven't come to the end of that yet. I wish we would, but we don't know what the truth is. And anyone who says they do doesn't know. So we got to wait and see what happens.
Paul, thank you for listening. You have a great day, sir.
You're welcome, Kevin. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO, Kevin Miller in the morning. But it comes down to this. We're a month away from the libs going into the House, and already they're trying to run the president. Let's talk about it. Your thoughts, how we can save the president next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day, Kevin Miller in the morning. The truth is relative. That's what Paul said. If you're a lib, you love this idea. I mean, the beginning of next year, we're going to get sworn into Congress, and all of a sudden we're not going to worry about defense. We're not going to worry about the economy. And as we talked about with Dave Petzo, it's having an impact on the markets already. No, we just going to say civilization be damned, and let's just get rid of Donald Trump because we don't like him, because he has bad manners. You know, and the devious little libs will sit back and say, well, look at what he did. Where is the evidence? Michael Cohen, well, he's a fixer. He's trying to avoid jail time. His credibility, as we said before, not very good. Look, the prosecutor said he needs more jail time because he was a bad little Michael Cohen. And we're going to destroy the White House because of this. Bill Clinton committed perjury. He should have been thrown out of office. Barack Obama. Let's go to Obama. Let's go to the great Obama. The NSA, the IRS, the CIA, all went after American citizens. James Rosen, the Fox News reporter, had his computers tapped because he broke a story. He was doing his job. Nobody was prosecuted for that. Members of the Tea Party across the country, all of a sudden they were audited. Lois Lerner of the IRS, nothing happened there, right?
I'm a conservative when it comes to impeachment. I think it's a last resort and only when the evidence is clear of a really substantial legal violation.
What we want for this country is all the facts and all the truth. I've always supported the Mueller investigation and continue to do so because I think it's in the best interest of everyone involved.
Certainly they'd be impeachable offenses because even though they were committed before the president became president, they were committed in the service of fraudulently obtaining the office.
Here it appears the Justice Department doesn't think there's any problem of proving that this was intended to principally affect the election. And to have the Justice Department basically say that the President of the United States not only coordinated but directed an illegal campaign scheme that may have had an election-altering impact is pretty breathtaking.
I think it's important for the special investigator to give Congress what he has sometime early in 2019 so that Congress can make a determination.
And there we have it at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Your thoughts on that. Traffic and weather together.
I'm just Channel 7's Larry Gabbard.
All right, Larry, thank you very much. So we have your thoughts on the president there. In addition to that, we've got this code of conduct. You know, like when you're in the military, it's the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the old UCMJ. When you're going to school, maybe at work, you've got the employee handbook. Does anybody really like the employee handbook? Does anybody ever read the employee handbook? I always like it when you have those ever so brief interactions with the HR person. Well, according to page 65 of the employee handbook, and you're going, 65? And, of course, most employers, you have to sign the employee handbook or, I guess today, online check that you looked it over, but nobody really ever looks at these things. So as we mentioned this last hour, we've got the new student code of conduct at the University of Montana Western. Now, at the University of Montana Western, they are very concerned about the type of people that they are graduating. They want to make sure that these are good, wholesome kids. I'm trying to keep a straight face with this. They've got a new student handbook out which says that students are prohibited from being mean, from being nasty, vindictive. Now, those are general terms, right? Well, no, it gets even better. In spoken, printed, or emailed words, okay. And then it comes down to facial expressions or gestures. So I guess you can't give somebody the one-finger salute. I guess you can't. Now, how can you judge a mean, nasty, vindictive facial expression? Oh, I guess you can. But it's all open to interpretation, is it not? So in the Student Code of Conduct, they call them civility standards. That's right, civility standards. Facial expressions and any other matters of discussions by the foundation should be limited to things that are nice, happy, clean, and wholesome. While discussions have become heated, they should never become mean, nasty, or vindictive in spoken or printed or emailed words. We're not talking Berkeley, we're talking about a college in Montana. Back to the Student Code of Conduct at the University of Montana Western says, which includes facial expressions or gestures. I love this. This is, so how in the world can you determine a funny gesture from an aggressive, mean, or nasty gesture? And let's say that this works. How are you preparing? You're not preparing kids for when they leave college. It's a big, rough world out there, is it not? It's a world where it can get, for lack of a better term, uncivil. You go to San Francisco, those folks there are not very friendly. I love this. Laura Belts says the policy says students must promote an atmosphere of civility and that their discussions should never become mean, nasty, or vindictive. But as she points out, those are subjective terms that could be applied to constitutionally protected speech. And aren't we seeing this even as we listen to this program? The idea of being offensive is shunned. If you've ever watched that, The People versus Larry Flint, the publisher of Hustler, played by Woody Harrelson, he goes to the Supreme Court so he can be offensive. In fact, that is the law. You can be offensive, but apparently not at this university or others. Maybe we're seeing that at your place of work, your place of business, where we've become, and I don't know if I'm a big fan of the term snowflakes. I really don't get it. And I know Pete from Mountain Home, he loves to use that term. So there you have it. I love this. You can't make a mean or making a rude facial expression. How do you do that? You're going to spend your whole time in class, instead of focusing in on diversity of thought, argument, debate, controversy, you're going to neuter these folks. You can't neuter expression. And, of course, unfortunately, as we've seen, as we've heard throughout the day, the only expression that gets neutered is our expression. That's why we have to continue the fight each and every morning. We'll talk to you next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
And blessed to be part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. I've been saying that a lot lately. Well, just a great blessing to be with you. By the way, I do want to remind you, Bishop Kelly will be our last school of the fall season. And do want to thank Team Mazda Subaru, Cap-Ed Credit Union for making that happen again. Promoting our schools, securing our future, and that'll be this Friday. Always great to have had just one of our most successful school seasons. And speaking of successful, it was wonderful to be a part, again, of 7 Cares, Idaho Shares. So many people went out, had a good time, and made a difference. And that's really what it's about. And as I said before, getting ready for my 10th year anniversary of one of the multiple times that I've been fired in this great business. And hopefully that will be the last time. But it came about the worst time that it could happen to anybody. And that was 10 days before Christmas. And when you're thinking about Christmas and the holidays, and obviously everybody's spending money and doing so much, you feel kind of helpless. It's almost like going through a divorce when you're thinking of the holidays, the seasons, and being laid off. And the reason why I say this is that if you're going through tough times, know that we're with you every step of the way. And you're not alone. We're going to be here. Let's go to Liberal Steve on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Blessed to be part of the Miller Show. If you don't keep your resume updated every day, you're not a smart man.
All right, hold that thought. Let's go to John Decker now on KIDO Talk Radio from the White House to your house. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. How's it going today?
Not bad. Better than the president. Adam Schiff having some big thoughts yesterday. We've been running with that all morning long. What's the mood inside your place of work, the White House?
Well, the president's been tweeting quite a bit, as you know, regarding the Mueller investigation, regarding James Comey, regarding allegations that he instructed his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, to make a payment to both porn actress Stormy Daniels and also to Karen McDougal. And, you know, I think the president is, in some ways, focused on that. In the meantime, he's got some vacancies to fill, including that of White House Chief of Staff. Now that we know that the White House Chief of Staff, General John Kelly, will be leaving by the end of the year, and we also know that the person who was considered to be the front runner for that position, Nick Ayers, who is the Chief of Staff to the Vice President, has taken himself out of the process of filling that vacancy. So the president needs to fill that. I think that, you know, one name that's being mentioned is Mick Mulvaney. I've seen a report that he's taken himself out of the running. So this is something, obviously, the president needs a chief of staff, and we'll see who ultimately gets that position.
How will we remember John Kelly's tenure as the chief of staff?
Well, I think that he was a loyal person to the president. Obviously, you know, the president and General Kelly did not always see eye to eye on issues, did not always get along, but I think you're going to see that with whomever it is that fills that role for the president. You know, I think that the president's first chief of staff was not as strong as John Kelly in terms of bringing a little bit of order to the White House. I think that's what John Kelly's military background, you know, was helpful in that regard. And, you know, another name that's mentioned is Mark Meadows. I don't know what kind of experience he has in terms of serving as a gatekeeper in the manner that the White House Chief of Staff needs to function. But that being said, he is considered to be one of those front runners, and he may be interested in the sense that, you know, come January, Republicans will no longer be in the majority. And when you're not in the majority in the House of Representatives in particular, it's not a fun position, and that's why he may be looking to move on from his tenure in the U.S. House of Representatives.
No one likes to be in the minority. What did you What did you make, John, and is there any reaction to the comments besides on Twitter of former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson?
Oh, I saw those. So Rex Tillerson was doing an event down in Texas with Bob Schieffer, doing an interview, talked about what it was like working with the president as his Secretary of State, and the president didn't waste any time in firing back at his former Secretary of State, called him dumb as a rock. So I don't think the president misses the fact that Rex Tillerson is no longer in his administration. That being said, I don't think Rex Tillerson misses being Secretary of State. It seems as if that was not the best of roles for him, but I think that's something that he wanted to do, was to serve his country in that very high-level post.
What can we expect from this week? We still have to get a budget passed.
Well, we do. There's a deadline. It's the 21st of December, so we're talking about a week from Friday, and that's what the House and the Senate will be working on, trying to come up with some sort of agreement that the president can sign. The president continues to want funding for that border wall with Mexico. He's unlikely to get that, and then the big question is, does he sign it despite not getting that funding for the border wall with Mexico? And, the other question is there a deal that's reached just for another extension, or is there a deal that's reached which funds the government for the full fiscal year through September 31st of 2019?
John Decker, always on the scene. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Have a great day.
You too. Back to Liberal Steve on KIDO Talk Radio. You were saying?
No, I sure like John Decker. He is to the point and very smart man, I think. I was just saying, always keep that resume up. Everybody, not just Kevin Miller, everybody that's in the workforce should keep the resume updated every single night before they go to bed and log what they did for the day. I think you were talking about mean there in the college and everything. I think a lot of that is the mood of the country because of our lying president. I mean, come on, Kevin Miller. I have kept track of every single lie that man has said, and since he went into office, I have, I don't know how many pages, but I have over 4,000 lies. You can't name a month where I can't give you 5 or 6 lies for that month.
October.
October. Oh my God.
Since when is lying impeachable?
Just because the president.
Now you just said you could. There wasn't a month. Where are the lies? Go ahead.
Where do you want to start in October? On October 3rd. On October 3rd, he said, "Put the Coast Guard itself." But the Coast Guard itself saved in Texas.
You got nothing.
But the Coast Guard itself saved in Texas 16,000 lives. They went right through that hurricane.
I have no idea what you're talking about. October of this year.
I just gave you.
All right,
October
Liberal Steve. Is there anything else?
Miller,
our charitable deductions are leaving us.
I was able to reduce the price of the Lockheed by billions of dollars. The cost cuts were planned before he even became president. That was October 6th of this year. I can go on and on. Oh, let's see. I got 40-some for October.
Sure you do.
We're the highest tax nation.
What do you make of that guy? Tea Party Bob joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Tough with that headset. Good morning, yes.
This is a new headset. It works real well.
Apparently. What'd you make of that guy?
Of Liberal Steve?
Yep.
I don't make very much of him. As far as I'm concerned, you could just kind of leave him in a dark corner someplace and see if he grows.
Ooh, like a mushroom. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly. That was my intention. If you think about these attacks, they're coming on the heels of more congressional hearings with Comey and others who were really at the crux of this divisive attempt to crush President Trump. They're so afraid that this new AG is going to start attacking the Dems involved with the Forrest Russian investigation, that they're doing everything they can to distract from these investigations into the FISA warrants, the Clinton Foundation, and Hillary's emails that were, basically events that should have put the nails in the coffin of the Democrats. for the 2020 election. That's what they fear more than anything. You know, as for Adam Schiff, that little weasel is nothing more than a shill for the destructive left, and we shouldn't be paying any attention to him. You know, there's no basis in fact for the impeachment of Trump for campaign violations. They've presented no evidence at all except for the word of a convicted criminal, Cohen, who is fighting to keep his jail sentence down. Now, this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So let's everybody calm down and just think about how stupid the fake news media accusations are. You know, the Democrats have been screwing the public for so long. It's high time that they were brought to justice. But it's going to take a strong attorney general to make that happen. Trump is fighting not only the Dems, but the rhinos as well. So he's going to need a lot of public support if we're going to get him reelected in 2020. That's about all I have for this morning. Thank you very much for another great show.
Thank you, Tea Party Bob. Take care.
Take care, my friend.
All right, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
I guess the marriage didn't stand a ghost of a chance. 46-year-old Amanda Teague of Drogheda County, Ireland, says she married a Haitian pirate named Jack earlier this year, but they've already decided to set sail in different directions. Teague not revealing what the irreconcilable differences are, but posting on social media that people should be very careful when dabbling in spirituality. It's just the latest setback for Jack, who was executed in the 1700s for thieving on the high seas. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Oh, thank you, Gary. When you think you're having a bad day, you break up with a ghost. Kevin Miller with you here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And you know, the great thing about this program is that sometimes we can take a break from the polarizing. We can take a break from politics or the stress of life and really try to make a difference. You know, earlier this morning I was talking about I'm getting ready for my 10th year anniversary of the latest round of being fired from a company that doesn't exist anymore. Maybe I deserved it, maybe I didn't, but being fired around the holidays. And I was sharing that experience with you, what it was like to all of a sudden go to the mall and just look at things, or explaining to someone, well, you're not going to be a guest on the big show, and the feeling of sadness, of loss, of helplessness. And as we look at the holidays, and yes, it's so wonderful that we have 7 Cares and Idaho Shares and so many great things going on, but we should be on the lookout for folks that are going through tough or challenging times. You know, I had a young man email me just moments ago and say, you know, Kevin, I know what you're saying. I just lost my job. I just lost my job. And here we have many people getting ready to go from one area to the other. It's a tough time. Now, what can we do to prevent that? You know, it's what the gospel says. It's what our ministers say, to be focused on we, not me. You know, I told you I lost my best friend from high school a couple years afterwards to suicide. He felt alone. He felt as if he had nothing to live for. And the guy was 21, 22, former airborne guy, a hero in my eyes, somebody that I would emulate and look up to. And that overwhelming feeling of sadness. You know, life is about joy. It's about sharing. It's about overcoming adversity. And we try to share that with you each and every morning. Sometimes we do so in a humorous way. Sometimes we do it where you go, oh, my goodness gracious. And other times it's just having that conversation. So if you have some challenges, if you have something that you would like to share, you can always email me in confidence, as that young person just did, Kevin@KIDOTalkRadio.com. But to that young man, that individual, you're in my prayers. And I don't say that. I mean that. Because no one should have to spend any time alone. And if I can say one thing to you, is that you are loved. And we love you. And just because somebody doesn't appreciate your worth, your value, doesn't mean that there's not a great market for your skill, your work. And you'll find that place that wants you. And one of the benefits that I've learned, and I give him a hard time, and he's been very instrumental in my life, is our friend Jeff the Suit. Sure, I give him a hard time, but he's made me realize there are other things. He and Mrs. Miller, besides being defined like a Bill Belichick, like a Nick Saban. Those are great people. They get millions of dollars, and they sacrifice their time, efforts, and energy away from their families. The rest of us, it's that dinner. Maybe it's that gift card you give someone. Maybe it's, volunteering. Though that's the real difference makers. Tip O'Neill used to say all politics are local, but all giving makes such a bigger difference. Yes, it's great to go back and forth about the president, and we love that, and politics is sport and everything else, and the new legislative session here, but really making that difference and seeing the good works of the Meridian Canine Rescue, the Idaho Humane Society, the West Valley Humane Society, the Boise Rescue Mission, St. Vincent de Paul. We could go on and on. Those people that give, they're the real difference makers, are they not? Pro-Life joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, if you get fired from your station, I'm going to put on my yellow vest and come down there to the station real fast. But anyway, I don't think you will. But
well, you never know. But we appreciate the gesture. Thank you.
Well, anyway, President Trump's problems are because of some bad decisions he made. If he would have fired on day one, if he would have fired Mueller, Rosenstein, and all of them on day one.
You mean Mueller, not Miller?
Yeah, Mueller. Yeah, not Miller. Well, yeah, if he'd have got rid of all of them, he wouldn't be in this pickle right now. And he didn't do it. He thought he could weather all this, and I think he still can. But when you get a chance to fire some crooks, you don't ever pass that up. You just say, yeah, they're crooks and they're gone. And I don't know why he didn't do that. He thinks, I guess he's impervious to what they can do, and he's not, because the people are stupid, and we have a stupid, crooked media that's after him, and so that creates this problem. And he could have, solved it a long time ago. They would have criticized him real heavily right then, but then it had been over. So anyway,
well, do you agree with my statement that the media is the biggest enemy now?
Yeah, that's why I voted for Trump. He's not my kind of a guy. I'm way too conservative for him. But I voted for him because he attacked the media, and I will continue to support him as long as he goes after the media. They are our number one problem. And
all right, Pro-Life. That being said, now you are a God-fearing man. You love the Lord. A time in your life when you were down and you were inspired and you rose back up. Can you share that with us?
Yeah. I've my first wife divorced me, and that was really terrible because they said that because of my political leanings, my ideas, that I was mentally ill, and of course I knew that wasn't true, and they took that into court, and but anyway, I lost control. I lost custody of 6 children, and that was not a good thing. And now then those children had a tough time because they didn't have a dad that really stood up for Christ. So,
well, how'd you get through that?
Well, faith in Christ. That's how you get through anything. I mean, if you stick with Jesus Christ, you're never alone, because regardless if the whole world turns against you, Jesus Christ will not. So that's really the answer. But then if you don't believe that Jesus Christ was resurrected and he is God, then you're really lost. So,
well, let's worry about trying to save people instead of saying they're lost. But your advice to people that are looking for a break right now, what would you say to them one-on-one? What would you say to them individually?
Well, if you do something for someone that needs help, even if you say if you're a bum on the street and you help another bum on the street, that is the best thing you can do. And so whenever you can do something for somebody and help them, that's the best thing you can do.
God bless Pro-Life. Traffic and weather together. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Ray Amaya. Appreciate everybody listening. Stay tuned, though. Glenn Beck is next. Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity, and our friend Lars Larson. Keep the faith, everyone.